Welcome to First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, the birthplace of Congregational Humanism. We carry on that tradition of free thought today, dedicated to promoting a free search for truth, meaning, and justice. Our web address is firstunitarian.org. I'm David Breeden, Senior Minister. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis on this gorgeous Sunday, May 12th, 2024. Happy Mother's Day to those who celebrate. We'll say more about that. First Unitarian Society is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, and our programming is on-site, live, online, live, and on demand, 24/7. I'm the Reverend Kelli Clement. I serve you as your assistant minister, and I'm joined today by our music director, Mike Vazich, our accompanist, Amos Lucidi, Assembly Assistant Jane Graves, the FUS Choir, and our amazing tech team. Thank you to all who help make Assembly happen here at FUS. Wherever you are, either in the room here or online, if you will turn to your right and left and say, "I'm so happy you're here today." I'm so happy you're here today. Good morning. Welcome everyone to this place of love and justice, where we attempt to live up to humanity's highest ideals, our highest hopes. We don't always get it right, but we always get back in and try and try and try again. Thank you for being with us today.
Good morning and happy Mother's Day Sunday. We have a couple selections here with the Chalice Choir. We're going to do two pieces. One in the beginning called Life Has Loveliness, which is a setting of a Sarah Teasdale poem by Judith Harrington. And then we're going to close with a contemporary piece called Keep Singing by Arian Norman. And then in the middle, I've got a piece that I'm going to play that I wrote that was dedicated to my piano teacher. Her name was Natalie, and she was a mother and she wrote music, and I just thought she was a lovely teacher. She really encouraged me, and her daughter's also a pianist and continues to play today, so that legacy is living, and she's continuing to inspire people on and on. And then also just to honor Mother's Day, I was originally planning to play a piece of music by a composer who was also a mother, of which there are plenty, but I ran into this passage from the foreword in a book called Women Composers in History that I thought was timely, interesting. So I'm going to just share a little bit of that, which is... Okay, so it says 19th century women, but I think it could be 21st century as well. 19th century women were able to combine a family and a career to a certain extent. All of these 8 women were married. Clara Schumann had 8 children, Teresa Carreño had 5, Fanny Mendelssohn had 1 son, Amy Beach and Cécile Chaminade had no children. Cécile Chaminade was interviewed in October 1908 by the New York Sun and made these interesting comments. Marriage must adapt itself to one's career. With a man, it is all arranged and expected. If a woman is the artist, it upsets the standards. Usually, it ruins the woman's art. Though I have been married and am a widow now, I feel that it is difficult to reconcile the domestic life with the artistic. A woman should choose one or the other. An artist must have freedom, not restraint. She must receive aid, not selfish, jealous exactions and complaints. When a woman of talent marries a man who appreciates that side of her, such a marriage may be ideally happy for both. So I think it just acknowledges that, being an artist requires sacrifice from your partner, and I appreciate the sacrifices every mother makes to become a mother is a sacrifice and giving of time, and my own partner sacrificing your time so I can pursue my artistic pursuits, and I hope to sacrifice some time for you to pursue your own. And thanks to all the moms doing all the work, either behind closed doors or not, and on with the music. Thank you. All right.
We begin our assembly by lighting a chalice, and today we affirm and promote the fourth principle of Unitarian Universalism. Please say these words with me: a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And our first congregational song is "If Every Woman in the World Had Her Mind Set on Freedom." That's number 1026 in the Teal Songbook, and the lyrics will come up right here. Please stand as you're willing and able. And thank you for your help, choir. We recognize the binary nature of that song, and today we're just letting it be. Please, Jay. Please remain standing for our covenant.
All right. Please join me in the words of our congregational covenant. Love is the spirit of this place, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning. I'm Barb Lutz.
I'm Alan Callender.
And we were working very hard on the auction this year. And our bid in need this year was LoveWorks Academy downstairs. And we raised for them $4,340. And I'd like to, yeah, clap, that's good, yeah.
And I'd just like to ask, make sure everybody's aware that one of our coexistence with our tenant, LoveWorks Academy, is we have a reading program with the children. Anybody that's been in the reading program, would you stand up for a minute? We actually have had as many as 28 members of this congregation contributing an hour or more every week to read one-on-one with these kids that so desperately need help. And we've gotten such accolades. In the last year and a half, we have committed over 1,000 hours of our time, their time, and thank you all. There's been phenomenal response, and we're going to keep doing it.
Okay, so I'm going to present this check to Jay. It's from all you guys that so generously contributed at the auction.
All right.
Well, my phone is blowing up. I have, of course, various messages from the President Reagan Gibson of LoveWorks, who was on the board, and also Dr. Sophia, and also the administrative staff, Mr. Don Allen, who y'all have seen before, as well as Nidra Parker, the assistant principal. And so on their behalf, I do accept this, so I thank you. And I just want to say that it has been an awesome experience, as they have expressed in their email, just as I open it up really fast. Give me a quick second. It was open earlier, I promise you. I was like, what's going on? No. All right, move out of my way. Okay, here we go. And now it doesn't want to open. I will say it like this, as I read it. I'm better at speaking anyway than reading. That they are extremely grateful for the honor to be housed in our congregational building, that they feel the love, they feel the genuine support, and they feel a nature in which they feel most seen and cared for. And that is on behalf of Ms. Gibson. Also, Don Allen has also expressed his deepest sincere apology for not being here today. He did have a little one who was sick at 10 this morning, and as a single father, he is operating in his mothering and in taking care of his kiddo, and so he was not able to be here today. But I also just want to say on his behalf too that he is grateful for to be a recipient, as well as this will go to really supporting our students, their program, the learning, the arts, and a transformational year that they look forward to. I thank you again. Thank you, First Unitarian Society, on their behalf. Wonderful.
Thank you. Okay, now in the annual meeting and the report that goes with it, there will be a detailed auction report, but I just wanted to let you know that for our congregation, our net proceeds were $18,500. And that's all due to all you guys who donated and bought. We had 87 tickets sold, and we had 95 active bidders. And so it was a great success, and thank you all so much.
Thank you. And I'll just say thank you to Barb Lutz for all you did and your whole team that worked on that. First Unitarian Society is a congregational humanist community. We're here for each other, for our neighbors, and for the planet. And when we gather on Sundays, we take a few moments to reflect on the human experience, the joys, the sorrows, and the milestones. We do this so that we stay in touch with our own humanity. We do this to remind ourselves of the value of a moment of stillness. I'll share this joy this morning. The Reverend Dr. J. Exodus Hooper, who was just standing here, who directs our religious education program, Ethical Explorers, has agreed to be our summer minister for this summer. As FUS is in the midst of much transition, Jay's leadership will be most welcome here. So look forward to good and exciting things this summer. I want to say a word about Mother's Day, this complicated day. We hear lots of happy Mother's Day, and for everyone it is not a happy day. For many people, it is quite complicated. So I want to say happy Mother's Day for those for whom it feels that way, and to also recognize the members of our community and the community at large who would like to parent and are unable to, who have lost children, who have had difficult pregnancies, who are forced to bear children and would rather not, who have lost their mothers, who may have complicated relationships with their mothers, perhaps a complicated memory. All the many ways that relationships happen are contained in this room. We represent all of those ways. And it's good to bring our whole selves here today to recognize the complexity and beauty and struggle of life is all in one. So be gentle with yourselves and with each other today, and please don't make assumptions. Let's take a few moments of silence to remind ourselves how our lives are connected one to another. Mike, I'll say we are also grateful to your piano teacher. I want to start with a reading from Valerie Kaur. Valerie Kaur is a civil rights activist and attorney, a filmmaker, and she has written this wonderful book, See No Stranger, in which she reminds us that revolutionary, inclusive love is the most important thing we can do right now. It's urgent and important. She writes this: our minds are primed to see the world in terms of us and them. We can't help it. The moment we look upon another person's face, our minds discern in an instant whether or not they are one of us, whether they are part of our community or family or country, or one of them. This happens before conscious thought. Our bodies release hormones to trust and listen to those we see as a part of us and fear and resent them. It's easier to feel empathy and compassion for one of us, much harder for one of them. When one of us does something bad, we tend to attribute it to circumstance. But when one of them does the same, we attribute it to essence. Oh, that's just how they are. We think of us as complicated and multidimensional. We tend to think of them as simple and one-dimensional. You know what I'm talking about. I do this too. We are much more likely to intervene when we see a victim of violence as one of us. We tend to stand by when we see that they are harmed, whether by politics of the state or violence in the street. In other words, who we see as one of us determines who we let inside our circle of care and concern. Close quote. This past Wednesday morning, about 130 of us gathered in the Astor Ballroom of the New Orleans Crowne Plaza Hotel for the plenary session of the Sacred Conference. Sacred stands for Spiritual Alliance of Communities for Reproductive Dignity. Spiritual Alliance of Communities for Reproductive Dignity. Thank you. It was a group of a lot of red state folks, some blue state folks, but all people of faith who were coming together with the goal of rewriting the narrative and changing the culture. The opening worship was the day before, and it had included prayers and welcome from the Afro-Cuban spiritual tradition of Lukumi, from Christian, Hindu, Jewish, Muslim, and Unitarian Universalist speakers. This day, on Wednesday, the schedule said that we would get into the content, the framing of the gathering. But as sometimes happens at conferences, we needed to pivot to make space for what was happening in the moment. The leaders of the conference told us that one of the key staff people who had brought it all together had gone to the local hospital the night before for a pre-existing medical condition. And among this group of faithful folks, the decision was made to pray for her in this space. So we were going to pray for her, and they invited the people who were especially close to her to come up to the front. What I expected to be a short prayer for one person ended up taking the entire hour and became a corporate prayer for the whole world, the entire planet, and all of her inhabitants. It was shocking and surreal and uncomfortable. And for me, it was so healing, and I cannot quit thinking about it. It was a plenary hour of prayer. A black womanist Baptist preacher, the Reverend Aya Esty Nina Dillard, led a prayer of lament and petition and confession, of demand, of beloved relationship with the God of her understanding. And she invited the prayers of the people. Each of us was invited to lift up into our communal space our laments and our longings. And we heard prayers for peace in Gaza, for the release of the Israeli hostages, for peace in Ukraine and Sudan and the Congo, for trans kids, for all children and adolescents, for mothers and all parents who are struggling, for teachers, for immigrants, for those who are unhoused, for those who are incarcerated, for all of us who are marginalized in any way, for those needing full spectrum reproductive health care who cannot get it. Of course, it took a good hour for all these prayers to fully open our hearts, to let down our guard, to loosen, to move from intellect to emotion without losing myself. For me to learn to be fluent in the language of spirit and to know that I can be both a humanist and present with theologies that are not my own and not be threatened by them. We sang, as these prayers were going on, a song from Progressive Judaism. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. It would have been one thing for the humanists in the room to be anthropological observers of a ritual prayer, holding ourselves outside the practice of faith. It was another thing to participate, know that someone else's belief and practice of prayer may have meaning for us too. As we continue this month's theme of the gifts of pluralism, I'm reminded of the old Unitarian Universalist bumper sticker. Each of us has a piece of the truth. So I wonder, what does pluralism mean for us as humanists? Many of us come-outers from more traditional religions. Are we willing to find truth represented in other faith communities, or do we just nurse an anger and disgust directed at those believers? What does it mean to cultivate more us and less them? First, let me offer some definitions. There are two ways to think about pluralism. We live in a pluralistic society where multiple groups with unique ideologies and values work collaboratively to influence government policies and are active in the governing process. You might think of it as lobbying. Many of you have been to the Capitol and lobbied for one thing or another. You pay your dues to whatever organization you hope goes to lobby at the Capitol for your cause. Groups in a pluralistic society can be determined by culture, religion, common ideologies and values. Our national motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one, speaks to this kind of societal pluralism. The other, religious pluralism, is a state of being where every individual in a religiously diverse society has the rights, freedoms, and safety to worship or not according to their conscience. UU Minister Sherry Prudhomme helps us here. She says, thinking about pluralism focuses on the American reality of religious diversity and the rights and freedoms guaranteed to us in the Constitution. First, religious diversity in America is increasing, and with ongoing demographic shifts will continue to do so. But religious diversity on its own is not religious pluralism. This requires a little bit more. She continues, we Unitarian Universalists declare that there are many paths to the sacred. We hold fast to the notion that no one religion can hold all the truth for all time, not even Unitarian Universalism, not even humanism. We maintain that a free, open, and respectful dialogue is one of the primary ways our theological perspectives evolve and grow, close quote. At Harvard, they have the Pluralism Project. Really interesting. If you're Googling around, you might Google the Harvard's Pluralism Project. And it says this: pluralism is not diversity alone, but the energetic engagement with diversity. I've heard it said that diversity is a fact. Pluralism is engagement, is getting in there. It's not just tolerance, but the active seeking of understanding across lines of difference. It's the encounter of commitments. The language of pluralism is that of dialogue and encounter, give and take, criticism, and get this, self-criticism. Dialogue does not mean that everyone at the table will agree with each other. It involves the commitment to being at the table with another person's commitments. Religious pluralism reminds us again and again that we don't have all the answers. It helps us turn toward each other, the us toward the them, rather than away. It reminds us that liberation is always collective and that we need each other. It does not diminish our humanism to find the central truths in other religions, that the Hebrew God is one of fairness and equity, in the Christian teaching to love our neighbors as ourselves, in the Hindu belief that everything in the universe is holy, in the Lukumi faith that all humans have a divine aspect and are watched over by our ancestors. To be present and engaged with the animating and life-giving beliefs of others is heart-opening. I got to tell you, that day in the conference, it was almost a physical effort, a spiritual practice to keep from rolling my eyes and checking my watch and keep my heart open for what there might be there for me. Psychologist Mick Cooper says, pluralism is not easy. It's a constant willingness to self-challenge and look at where we might be wrong or limited. It requires a capacity to detach ourselves from our agendas and our beliefs and our commitments and to recognize that there might be other ways. And it requires that we recognize we can never wholly achieve that. We had an agenda. There was information to be learned. I kept thinking, well, what are they going to do? Are they just going to push it back an hour? What does that mean for lunch? It was good to not be in charge. But what was needed in that hour of prayer, holy, holy hour of prayer, was just to be present and let the rest of it go. We did get the rest of the information. We got it. It was wonderful. And there was no altar call, nobody called us to repent or anything like that. It was really good. I want to share a quick story from when I arrived at FUS 9 years ago. One Sunday, an elder member of this congregation saw a child alone in a religious education classroom, kneeling, doing whatever she was doing. The elder said to her, "I hope you're not praying." I'm sure that person thought it was funny. I'm sure they thought they were trying to make a connection or a joke or something, but it wasn't funny, and your reaction tells me you hear it as not funny. He was policing her. He was policing her theology. He was policing her body position. And there was a piece of shame in there. Where's that family now? Not here. Any of us can make a mistake. We do not do this perfectly. But being part of a community means recognizing that we, in fact, are not as homogeneous as we think we are. Some of you have told me I would join this place, but it's just too rigid in its humanism. I want space for me to explore what it means. We're allowed to be who we are. It's fine. We are proud of our humanism here. And I hope that what we can also be is soft and welcoming and wondering whether or not every answer we have is the right one. The gifts of pluralism are opening our hearts, are reducing shame, and especially working with our progressive partners who are faithful people for justice, equity, compassion, and collective liberation. I shared this quote with you a few months ago, I think, and I want to share it again because it's living in me so much. The Reverend Dr. Kendall Gibbons says this of her work on spiritual maturity. "This is the kind of person I want to become, finally. Self-aware, reverent, real, strong, compassionate, graceful, humble, loyal, faithful, interdependent, at peace with my mortality, and fluent in the language of the Spirit." This is individual and collective work, worthy of us as humanists, and worthy of creating more us and less them. May it be so, and amen. Last week you sang the tune of Finlandia for one set of lyrics that are in our gray songbook, and today we're going to sing the other one because you just can't have too much Finlandia. This is my song is number 159, and the lyrics, of course, will come up here.
Our Hello again. I'm Carl, and I post my morning dog walks on social media as Carl Winthrop Davies. I've learned from my friends who work in nonprofit fundraising that this is the part of the program called the Ask. But I thought I'd do something a little different and give an answer. You see, I come from a long line of church basement women. My mother, Karen, my grandmothers, Ina and Hilder, and their four mothers, Anna, Margaret, Catherine, and Sally, which I think was just a nickname, but I haven't paid for the Ancestry.com membership yet. And I thought that Mother's Day would be a good time to share some of the things that they passed down to me. None of the women I named had jobs outside their homes after they got married. But they very much played central roles in the lives of their communities. They baked sweet treats and brewed puncheons of coffee that were the centerpieces of conversations that knit their communities together. They cooked and contributed many tons of salads, breads, fried or broiled proteins, and, you probably anticipated this, hot dishes, to community meals and to neighbors needing a break from thinking about what was not or in their pantry, be that from their home kitchens or the shared facilities in their houses of worship. They served on committees that planned activities for families of all generations. They taught Sunday school when that meant more than just reciting dogma. They balanced budgets and raised funds for sponsoring immigrant families. They greeted newcomers to their doors, and they created welcoming and comforting spaces for those grieving the loss of loved ones. I'm not sure that this congregation would be recognizable to them from a theological perspective, but I believe that they would see and understand this place in all the ways that matter, the human ones. That's why I make a monthly contribution, help prepare the after-assembly mini-meal, teach the OWL curriculum, review social justice grants with the foundation, and try to keep alive our connection to the natural world at equinoxes, solstice, Lammases, and the like. If this has inspired you to make a gift, you can link to the giving page via the QR code above me on the screen, or stop by the office to donate by cash or check. Thank you for making the work of First Unitarian Society possible.
Thank you, Carl. Just a few announcements today. For our mini meal today, we are serving leftovers along with
Encore presentations.
Oh, thank you. Encore presentations. I like that better. I'm going to take that home. Along with compassion, simplicity, and generosity. FUS provides a second Sunday evening meal for people who are experiencing homelessness and/or housing insecurity. Dave Lessler leads our kitchen team, our kitchen ministry in this effort. And the meal is served each month at Plymouth Congregational Church. So our second Sunday mini meal is smaller than usual, and all donations go to this ministry of hospitality. We feed about 120 people, is that right, Dave? And we've been doing it for several months now and are blessed by this connection. It's really lovely. Thank you for your work. You can donate downstairs via our website or with the QR code that you'll see downstairs, or this one. You go to special collection, I think. Couple of other announcements. 2 noon programs, E Squared, Ethical Explorers, Ask the Reverend Jay about the FUS education program. Our Minister of Lifelong Learning and Community for in-depth conversation about ethical education practices that are informing our program. Go deeper and learning about Reggio Emilia, Maria Montessori, and Felix Adler's Fieldstone Workman School, and how these methods can inform our learning engagement as adults and as humanists. Also at noon, the budget that will be proposed at next for our next fiscal year will be discussed this Sunday at noon here in the Upper Assembly Hall. Please come and join in this preview and get your questions answered. John, you're going to be leading that time, so we'll be right in here at noon. And that brings up the note that next Sunday is the annual meeting. We'll have regular Sunday assembly, we'll grab a quick bite, and then we'll come here for our annual meeting to vote on the next year's budget and incoming board members and other people. And folks online, you can watch that online as well. Watch your Friday email for the ways to participate in that. Also at noon today, welcome to FUS. If you're ready to learn more about FUS and explore our pathway to membership, join the welcome session. It's just out this door and down the hall in my office. Suzanne Seehusen will be leading it.
Hey, Kelly.
Hey.
We're having doors open next week, too.
Oh, yes.
There'll be lots of strangers in the building. Welcome them.
We will be having Doors Open. We're participating in Doors Open Minneapolis, so there will be guests in our building, and so please do welcome them as you see them. It's a big deal for us to be a part of this. Yeah, we're glad to. Okay. Oh, active voices. Thank you. I do have that in here. We do have. Thanks, Marianne. You know, I don't usually take announcements from the floor, but that's Marianne, and so. Our Active Voices table is downstairs, so you can sign a postcard for child protection today, and we are really grateful for all that Active Voices does. Today we had postcard or letter writing also for UU the Vote, so if you want to get involved with helping people get out the vote, watch that Friday email and they'll tell you when to come and do that. I'm not calling for more. Let's extinguish the chalice. Please join me with these words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again. Thank you. Go out into the world. Be fearless. Ask questions. Hold on to what is good. Strengthen the weak. Comfort the fearful. Serve the suffering. Keep singing. Do what makes you come alive. Because as the great Howard Thurman said, the world needs more people who have come alive. Rejoice in the power of the human spirit. So may it be.